Welcome back to Let's Play Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo. Last time we made it to Maridia, and here we are, hopefully, getting a start on it and finishing it today. So, as you've noticed, aside from Part 6, which obviously comes up after, well, before this video, rather, I haven't had so much in terms of uploads lately, and I apologize for that. I just haven't super been in the mood to record as of late. I've been kind of playing catch up with my backlog. Um, Finally giving one of my Wii U Virtual Consoles some attention. And because of that, I am now officially a Fire Emblem fan. I started with Awakening, and then the moment I went on to go and play 7 and realized how much better that game was than Awakening, as well as most of the other modern Fire Emblem games in general, I was like, yeah, I think I might start going on a Fire Emblem binge, here on after, I guess. So, maybe expect some not super, but expect some Fire Emblem videos sometime in the future, maybe, possibly, perhaps. Assuming I can get around to playing more of the games, because I've literally only finished 7 and Awakening as of right now. And I really need to start getting my feet wet here soon. In other words, what I'm trying to imply here is that ever since I finished up Samus Returns, which was a big source of my Metroid binge earlier on in the marathon, let's just say after this playthrough is finished, Metroid Prime won't be happening for a little bit because it's just kind of a phase I go through with every game series I play. I start going on a high and start either replaying or playing more games of that particular series, or I start getting tired of it and just kind of shelve it for a little bit. And I've always kind of been that way with Metroid. It's not anything against Metroid, it's the way I've been with every game series I've played, really. I still enjoy playing Super Metroid, though, don't get me wrong, otherwise I wouldn't still be recording footage of this and shelve it like I have done with some of my previous Let's Plays that I haven't finished, but, the more you know. Anywho, I should probably be heading down here because I do believe there are a few expansions we could be picking up on along the way, and just gonna ignore these pirates for now. Maridia is also another reason why I haven't felt too tempted to go back as of late, because I'm not so much of a fan of Maridia. Like, I enjoy Norfair and Brintstar. I enjoy, the wrecked ship for what it is, but I don't really think it offers much gameplay-wise. Maridia, it can definitely stump a lot of players like the first time through Super Metroid, and for very good reason, because Maridia has this really nasty habit of putting in a lot of like super secret hidden blocks that can seal off hidden passageways you need to take in order to make it to the destination of where, the main boss is, And I guess the wreck ship was kind of a foreshadowing to that, and then Maridia just kind of has that in spades. You're going to be using the X-ray scope a lot in your first playthrough of Maridia, because it's probably the biggest area in the game, if I had to be honest here. It's big, labyrinthian, it's kind of cryptic in some areas, actually. And the real reason I don't really like Maridia, though, is that there's a few spots where you're actually kind of forced to grab a few expansions and then circle all the way around Maridia just to go back to the same location you were at just to grab another pair, and it's really obnoxious. You'll figure out what I'm talking about in a bit, but it's probably my least favorite location for expansions to get in this entire game. Though, In all actuality, I'd say, like, in terms of, like, progressively getting expansions and going back for them and what have you, Super Metroid, you know, compared to Fusion and Zero Mission especially, and even Samus Returns, I'd say, like, for the endgame collectathon, Super Metroid more or less handles that the best. And what I mean by this is that, like, if you know the locations of the expansions, you know, by the time you get, like, say, to Ridley's Lair, and then finish that up, I mean, you can easily just make your trip back to Criteria and then to the location of where you need to put in all of the boss orbs to make it over to the final area in one fell swoop. There is no, like, necessarily backtracking to certain areas just to get expansions that you couldn't get before. Like, you finish up the last main boss, and then, like, you can head back to Criteria on the way over to the final area and just grab all your expansions there and then. And I like that. And I don't know why any other 2D Metroid game since has, you know, accomplished that, um, you know, factor as well as Super Metroid did. Because, you know, I'd say Fusion probably has it the worst because, like, you literally get the last upgrade within the last 10 minutes of the game. And then, well, 10 minutes of the game, depending on whether or not you're going to go after the upgrades or not. Most likely not, and just heading towards the story and destination. And then with Zero Mission, you know, after you get your power suit, you're forced to go back to at least 2 or 3 areas you've been through in the early game just to pick up like 1 or 2 expansions that you couldn't get beforehand, which isn't too bad, mind you. And then Samus Returns has it the absolute worst, where literally right before the final boss of the game, you have to like have this thing you get. I'm not gonna spoil what it is, and then take it with you through literally every freaking area in the game just to open up specific blocks. I was like, instead of fixing, you know, those problems with Zero Mission and Fusion, they somehow made it worse. I don't know why they did that. It baffles me, and it's definitely gonna kill my future playthroughs of Samus Returns. That's for certain. At least AMTR handled it correctly, in that you didn't have to backtrack for anything at all. Instead, what they did is that, you know, as long as you knew the expansion locations, you had these, like, teleporters in the second to last area. Or was it third to last? I don't remember. And you could take those teleporters and then grab the expansions. Very few of them, I might add. And then just get them that way, you know? And then, like, for the last 2 areas, you didn't have to worry about expansions. So you were pretty much decked out right from the get-go, as you should be. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't mind backtracking, but Metroid in general just hasn't handled, you know, backtracking for endgame expansions as well as it should, you know? Thank God that speed booster missile didn't take me too long to get. That can definitely be a bit tricky to get, you know, depending on your execution. But for me, I just simply look out for this little weed that you stand on before shine sparking upwards, and then use that as kind of my guiding point for where I need to do that, you know? Anywho, this route over here is a shortcut back to Brinstar, which I don't know why you would need at this point in the game, but it's there if you need it. Literally every area in this game is interconnected in one way, shape, or form, so it's... I want to say it's almost connected in the same way, you know, Metroid Prime 1 is in the sense that you have Brinstar, which literally links every area in the game. But it doesn't really act as much of a central hub like the Temple Grounds do in Prime 2, if that makes any sense. I was worried that I was going to miss that for a second. And it's possible to bomb jump your way through this, but I'd rather not go through the many technical issues and errors involved in doing that unless I feel the need to, so we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to do it the old-fashioned way. With the grapple beam, as the developers intended for it to be. And yeah, there's a lot of, like, off-beaten paths that lead to different expansions. There's certainly a lot of areas that look like dead ends in Maridia, but all of them are glorified alternating paths through different expansions. And the majority of the expansions you find in Maridia can kind of apply to the majority you get in, like, the entirety of Super Metroid. Like, you can definitely be super decked out by the time you finish Maridia. Like, I don't have many energy tanks now, but by the time I finish Maridia, I'll almost be done with my energy tank collectathon, if that makes any sense. And oh yeah, I have the spring ball, don't I? I forgot I got that in the last video. I did part 6, like, what, 2 weeks ago? God, I need to pace myself better. And I forget, is this the room where you shoot one of the pillars and an expansion pops up? Or no, I'm thinking of another room. Pay me no mind. And yeah, I'm pretty sure, you know, next to having the power bombs and not knowing where to go, coming out of Brinstar and going back to Norfair to beat Crockermeyer, this was probably the point in the game I got stuck in the longest. And the solution to getting out of this big circle of interconnecting rooms is a very stupid solution, I might add. Like, Super Metroid is a great game. I will constantly repeat that till the end of time, but sometimes I don't 100% agree with the solutions to finding hidden paths. And the one I'm referring to specifically is that. Like, the fuck? There's no hint or indication. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't know until you saw, like, a crab, like, kind of wander through, I guess. But that's assuming you don't take the time to look at it and just continue upwards as you would. And yeah, this is just one of those things that you find by, like, dumb luck. And just why? Every near perfect game has to have it. Bleh. Every near perfect game has to have its flaws, I guess. Alright, so this is the room I was talking about earlier. Basically, the deal with this is that there's 2 different quicksand pits you can take. And each of them lead to 2 different expansion locations. I don't like the way this is set up because you have to go through this and go through the pain of the stupid grapple block section over again just to get back to this point. And I don't like that. I really don't like that at all. It takes so long just to get back to this point after doing this. Just to, like, go all the way back through here and do this and then circle back around and beat Draygon. Unless you beat Draygon first and then do the expansions afterwards. You know, this is, like, probably the only expansion location I don't really like at all, if I'm gonna be real here. And was it here? I don't remember. Okay. And I find it best that if you want to like keep yourself elevated above pit blocks and constantly jump on them without fear of falling through them, I find that holding the jump button while in Morph Ball works best because for some reason, whenever you jump in Morph Ball, upon getting the Spring Ball, you can just simply hold the jump button and Samus will immediately jump the moment she lands. And this isn't really the case whenever she's, out of Morph Ball. I don't know why it's designed like this, but it certainly helps for sections like that. Maybe that was intentional though, and probably why they made the Spring Ball the way it was and located in an area like Maridia, if that makes any sense at all. If not, then I'm just rambling complete and utter nonsense, and you guys can just simply ignore all of that. And yeah, Maridia more or less takes up a big chunk of my playtime in Super Metroid. Like, we're in-game time, not like actual real time, but in-game time, an hour and 6 minutes in. But by the time we finish Maridia, it usually takes me till like maybe an hour and 40 minutes in-game time to like finish it. Maridia is unforgiving, man. It takes everything you know about like finding secret locations and like spreads it everywhere. It is secret location incarnate. Also, is it me, or have I gotten a lot better at wall jumping since the start of this playthrough? I swear, I don't have like the best execution on Super Metroid wall jumping for some reason. I guess it's because I'm so used to AM2R and Zero Emission's method of wall jumping that it's hard for me to switch back and forth, but I'm getting better at it, I guess, despite, having owned this since I was 12 or 10, whichever came first. But, yeah. Just goes to show you can continue to learn new things with each and every playthrough. And by the way, speaking of learning new things, I just found out that the speedrun world record for Super Metroid just got broke again. Which is amazing because Oats and Goats pretty much had it solidified to the point where a lot of people, like including like these top 10 lists of like, gaming journalists that thought that these games couldn't ever be broken in terms of records again. This guy just kind of shows up, I forget his name, and beats the time by like a solid 8 seconds. And it's amazing, really, that even in the year 2017, we're still getting records torn in half in a game that's like 23 years old at this point, This room is a dead end, so we're not gonna go here. Ignore what I said earlier. There's like maybe 2 dead ends, but like all of them are simply just extensions of areas that you fall into if you miss like certain jumps or whatever. So not much I can do there, I guess. Oh, and these! Okay, these are actually kind of interesting. These right here And these certainly threw me for a loop whenever I found this out. These are called monstrous. And monstrous, as you guys know, the point of this whole escape bait in the first place is to get back to baby Metroid. And it just goes to show that the space pirates have already started taking action. And that they're starting to clone, you know, the baby Metroid based off of gamma radiation or something. And these are all failed experiments. Hence why they're going down so easily. And this is, like, strangely enough, the only room or 2 or 3 that you see these things in. So, yeah, that's interesting. Though I had to wonder, like, of all the places they chose to experiment on Metroid's end, or the baby Metroid for rather, why Maridia? Why underwater? I guess maybe they least suspected people to come and find them here? Though then again, you do see a small handful of space pirates here, so I guess I can't really blame them for taking that course of action. Also, this is probably, in my opinion, the most forgettable mini-boss in the entirety of Super Metroid. I don't even remember his name, honestly. But, like, he has, like, the most generic enemy design I've seen in a Metroid game. He looks like something that you'd see in Castlevania or something. Looks completely out of place in a game like this. Looks like one of those flying... No, not even Castlevania. He looks like the flying dragons from Ghosts and Goblins. Maybe that was an inspiration or something? I don't really know. Also, he didn't take the time at all to, like, poke his head out of the holes and try to, like, snipe me or anything. That's kind of weird. Maybe I had some kind of different pattern RNG or something? I don't really know. And yeah, Spring Ball is also good for quicksand sections such as these, so do that to keep yourself elevated. And yeah, there doesn't seem to be as many energy tanks as I thought there'd be. Maybe I was totally wrong. Maybe my memory of this game isn't, like, the most coherent, I guess. But I don't know. Watch me get proven wrong later. Oh, I can't talk. Anywho, it looks like we're closing in towards the end of Maridia, at least as far as where the main boss is, concerned. Also, I can't wall jump. What the heck? Damn you, execution errors! I said I got so much better at wall jumping, and here I am fucking all of them up. What is wrong with me? Oh wow, grapple beam kills him in one hit. It's kind of interesting, actually. Come on, Samus, you can do it! There we go. Oh wow, that was kind of janky. Never did like these grapple block sections, like, at all. Bok. Jesus. Alright, so with that being said, next time on Let's Play Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo, we're gonna go kick Draygon's ass and head to Ridley's lair. So thank you guys for watching, and see you guys then.